Greetings all and welcome back. Another episode of What the Fuck is a reborG podcast. I am reborG. Got my co-host with the most, Boy. You see the screenshot, probably load that one back up. Catching up with me, I ain't doing shit. Working, chilling, hanging out, playing some video games, watching some sports, kicking it with the homies, just regular shit. Boy, he chilling, doing his thing. He been sniffing a lot of shit outside, which is kind of annoying because we trying to walk, keep a steady movement going, and he just want to sniff shit. Now, I don't know if he's sniffing it because it's another dog or he may be hungry. You never know with this dude. He does all types of shit. So we chilling, we doing good. You know what it is. Let's go ahead and get into this sports talk. Super Bowl, pretty weenie. I mean, it's on the offensive side of the game. Congrats to the Patriots. You've done it once again. Shout out to Belichick. Coached a great game, man. It was something weird after it happened to Super Bowl. There was talks that, pardon me, you know what time it is. That like this smoke, and I keep my windows open so I don't kill boy because I hate to do that shit. Even though I do know some people that smoke around their dogs, and the dog, be living and chilling and all that shit. So as long as you got somewhere to air out, that, I guess, because the smoke doesn't, fester and sit around the house, then I guess they cool. But back to the bowl. It was a weird thing, like Brady said, I don't want to be called the GOAT because I want to keep being doubted. Nobody's doubting him but the media. And I think they're only doing it because he may have told him to do it. Everybody outside of that, me and the homies, like I said in the last podcast, I'm not betting against the Patriots until they actually lose. So, in reality, I won't be betting against them at all because that's just not what the fuck I'm going to be doing. They pulled out the win. It was a great defensive game. It was one of those, it was kind of like watching a boxing match between two good fighters, but the one fighter isn't landing, as many big shots as the other fighter. It's kind of like the Pacquiao Mayweather fight. It was a good fight. And those of you who say Floyd ain't do nothing but run, check the numbers. You can't be running if you punch the guy that you're fighting more than he punched you. And you're punching him at a higher percentage. So that's just kind of how it was. Like, the Patriots were punching, but they were punching at a higher percentage. Just those, the three scores that they had. And it was the first time I had seen the Patriots like this vulnerable. I was just waiting for the Rams to go ahead and take the lead because I figured they had at least, they had some points in them, but for them not to score nothing, that was just very surprising. And an ode to Bill Belichick, who's a great defensive coach. People keep forgetting that, his resume is built up off defense. He coached those great defensive teams in the Giants era in the mid-'80s to early '90s. And he was instrumental on that linebacking core with Pepper Johnson, Carl Banks, and Lawrence Taylor. And I know people say, well, Lawrence Taylor was on coke. Hey, I've done coke before. And the last thing I wanted to do after doing some bumps was some damn football for hours. So for him to do that shit and not have his heart explode, he is fucking phenomenal. So Belichick's resume is built on defense. And for him to outsmart Sean McVay, who was the wonder boy of the league, was quite impressive. And on the other side, Wade Phillips, doing the previous wonder boy Josh McDaniels, because there was a time Josh McDaniels was looked at as the young genius. He had a rocky couple of seasons in Denver, and he shitted on the Colts last year by taking the job and then reneging on it. But he got out-coached by Phillips. Phillips did a great job coaching. Defensively, he did a great job. It was like I said, the Patriots were vulnerable, but it wasn't like when they played against the Giants, because the Giants was hitting the shit out of Brady. They was in the backfield all the time, but they was getting hits on them. They were putting like real pressure on them. The Rams were able to put pressure by not even hitting them. They were just all over the fucking place. But shout out to the Patriots. I think the Rams will be back. Once they get Cooper Kupp back, I think he was kind of like, he had a small role in that playing that kind of affected the offense because when a quarterback doesn't have his safety valve, that one person that's always open, the one person that you can trust their hands the most, it makes it, they got to alter their game a little bit, and it kind of, messes up the play calling and messes up the risk that the quarterback's willing to take if he doesn't have that guy out there. And the game kind of exposed Goff as not being an elite quarterback. He didn't call any audibles. He didn't shift formations. He wasn't doing a lot of things at the line that you expect out of, the elite QBs. And he's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong on that. But I think he's going to have to, I don't think he's sitting in that film room looking at the same thing that Sean McVay is looking at. I don't know what he's doing in the film room, but I think that's something that they'll probably work on this summer, is having him call his own number a couple of times by the looks of the defense. I think he's well versed in the offensive side, but I think he has to study more of the defenses that he's going against and kind of have some counterattacks for what the defense will be doing, because the Patriots kind of laid a blueprint on how to disrupt the offense for the Rams, and I think they're going to have to adjust going forward if they want to get back to the bowl. They have the talent to, but it's all about how they will be able to adjust. Sticking with football, the new football league, the Alliance of American Football League, just kicked off Saturday, and Colin Cowherd had a good quote. He said America has an insatiable appetite with football, and looking at the ratings, they had the same ratings for those games on Saturday as the Houston Rockets and the OKC Thunder game that was on Saturday. And the OKC game was good. That Rockets Thunder game was a good game, and I was flip-flopping through both on my computer, watching the games or whatever, doing that, and checking on my phone because I had left around like 10 o'clock to go kick it with the homies for the Saturday night. And with the league, it's pretty cool. I wish they gave a better introduction for the players, like not like at the beginning of the game or nothing like that, like leading up to the season, because outside a couple of names I had knew from looking through Rivals and a couple of college guys that I knew, guys who had faltered in the league, it wasn't a lot of players that I did know. And I think if you gave them an introduction so people can, get invested in the players more and have something to look forward to outside of just watching football. But they were pretty decent games. I think they'll get better as the teams work more together, practice, get the cohesion together. I couldn't tell you none of the teams' names. I forgot off top, but all I know was football, and it was decent. And it will do for the time being until the combine comes on, because I'm one of those football fans that love. I'll even watch the combine, because sometimes you may see something that you find interesting. It's an enjoyable thing to watch for me. The Browns signed Kareem Hunt, which on paper looks like a good move. And I'm just talking about football. I can't speak on that off the field stuff because I don't know nothing about that part. So if they want to sign him after his incident, all power to you. And if he's allowed to play, it is, that's what it is, And I think he'll be a good addition to the team, along with having Nick Chubb there. I think he adds another dynamic to the passing game, because y'all seen Kareem Hunt. Y'all know what he can do. And I think he'll be able to do the same with the Browns. And in college football, National Signing Day was last week. And due to them having an early signing period in December, the National Signing Day doesn't have the ta-da, the pizzazz that it used to have back in the day. Because a lot of the top names were committing and signing in the early period. So it wasn't as newsworthy as it was. Miami stunk. They didn't do a good job, and you know the reasons why. And I think I explained them in the last podcast. So, but Alabama did it again. They're bringing together a great class. So, Texas A&M, I figured Jimbo Fisher would do his thing there, and Florida State can't do nothing but shake their heads because Jimbo Fisher is not there only because you didn't want to pay him. And speaking of paying coaches, Clemson gave all their coordinators $1 million raise because they don't want to break that up at all. They got a good thing going. They got a nice team going, a nice college football dynasty of some sort, and you don't want to rock the boat and mess things up. Kind of, fuck up the whole system that you got going on. And with other college football news, Justin Fields got cleared to play, got his waiver, so he'll be Ohio State's quarterback coming up this year. And good luck to the guy. One of the things they were saying that he got the waiver was because he had to deal with a lot of racism at the school. Well, not, just any racism at the school, and I guess that was enough to get it going. In NBA, the trade deadline came and went. Anthony Davis didn't get traded, and I think it was because the Pelicans weren't getting compensated draft picks. I think they really wanted those draft picks because they figured that with the players that the Lakers were sending them, they might not want to be there. So they don't have a chance of resigning. No need for you to bring in players that's going to leave in a year like Anthony Davis is already doing, and you still stink. They didn't mind having the players for the rental that they had them for, the little bit of time that they would have been there. But they wanted those picks, so you can bring the young players in and get them there for about 3 years. And if things are starting to look up, they might get them with an extension, continue on that rookie extension before they can go out there and try to get the big bucks. But I'm thinking if you do, I don't think you'll be able to build the team to do that because you're trying with Anthony Davis, and you're not going to be able to get those free agents. I don't know why people don't want to go to New Orleans, but they just don't. So we'll see what comes of it. Marcus All going to the Raptors was a pretty good move. I think he's more versatile than Valanciunas. They might take a hit by getting DeLon Wright out of there and C.J. Miles, because Miles is a good three-point shooter, space the floor. He has shown his worth as a Raptor in the last couple of years. And the same thing with DeLon Wright being the backup point guard. Well, being a third guard option, because Van Fleet is kind of the backup. And I guess they figured since they had Van Fleet, they could get rid of DeLon Wright and use him as a piece. So I figured that to be a good move. The Bucks picked up Mirdich from the Pelicans. I think that's a good move for the Bucks. Space out the floor even more. Give their scoring off the bench a hell of a punch. And I could, see them making some noise. The Eastern Conference is getting very intriguing. And one piece of that recipe is that LeBron is gone. Since LeBron is gone, people don't have any other choice but to look at other Eastern Conference teams. So I'm looking forward to the playoffs to see what happens among that, because Philly made some moves too. And they have a nice starting five. They picked up some good players for the bench, and Jonathan Simmons and James Ennis. And if they can find a way to work together and, combine let their powers combine on some Captain Planet shit, I think Philly could make some noise. It could even make some noise all the way to the point that they make it to the finals and not get swept. Harden's streak is still popping. He's still going in. 30 games with 30 points or more. Hey, I can't knock him. Keep doing your thing, man. In the All-Star game, they picked the squads. Excuse me. Damn, that was ghetto as fuck. Fuck it, we continue. They picked the squads. I can't call you the squads off top. It's an All-Star game, glorified pickup game without the defense or as much defense. I'll peep it, see what's going on. This, that, and the third All-Star weekend. Same thing with that. Look, I'll put it this way. If I order food to watch it, it's big. If I just go pick up some regular shit like some Zaxby's, it ain't that big of a deal. If I watch it on my computer, it ain't that big of a deal. If I watch it on the 65-inch TV I got in the house, then that shit is a big deal. And I think this shit, unless I go over somebody else's house, if I'm at home, I'll be watching that stuff on the computer. And just something I want to speak on, Markelle Fultz got traded from the Sixers to the Magic. And I'm one of those people who like to see people do well and they have a chance. And I thought it was fucked up that Philly put him out on the floor knowing that his jump shot looked like that. This guy's obviously not healthy. Now, even if his shoulder was healthy, mentally he's just checked out because your shot's not supposed to look like that. Not when it, looked good beforehand. So that was just something crazy to see. In the college basketball side of the game, switching over to the youngins, Anthony Edwards, a top 5 player in this 2019 recruiting class, committed to Georgia. And I don't have a problem with that, staying home. You want to rep for your city and things of that nature, but make sure you're studying and looking at things so you can see what's going on, because Romeo Langford did the same thing with Indiana, and they're struggling, and so is he. Like, he's shooting 20% from 3. The team's not looking good, and you want to make sure that you won't have to be the only one having to do all the damn work. Because not that long ago, Georgia's coach Tom Crean just said the team was weak and incompetent. So for you to come in on that means you got to, carry the load for the team and be everything. So good luck to the kid. I hope Georgia can do something with him, and good luck to the guy going forward. And Kansas, goddamn, what's going on in Kansas? I already spoke on the Silvio D'Souza incident, and then they already had Azubuike hurt for the year, and then LaGerald Vick, their best 3-point shooter, he's gone. Like, for personal reasons. I didn't read the story. I don't know what's going on, but what the fuck is going on at Kansas? We got to switch up the recipe, And then college/NBA news, I started to see a couple of draft sites put Ja Morant in front of Zion. Don't agree with that a lot, because a lot of people are going to throw that, well, he can't shoot the 3. Well, after doing a little research, I discovered that it's a couple of players in the league averaging 18-plus points, 18-plus, which means 18, 19, all that stuff, but they're shooting less than 5 3-pointers a game. D. Rose, Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, Lou Will, Russell Westbrook, DeRozan, Levine, Kawhi, Giannis. All those players average more than 18 points and shoot less than 5 3-pointers a game. So I think that he has the chances of him being able to score and get buckets without having the 3-point shot early in his career don't seem that drastic. I think he'll be able to get buckets, man. No offense to Ja Morant, but we're dealing with a once-in-a-generation type of talent with Zion Williamson. It's nothing I've seen before in my 35 years of living, and I think you should just give him a chance. And mind you, I'm just speaking as a basketball fan. I'm a Duke fan, been a fan since 90, 91, and I love my squad, but I'm just speaking as a basketball fan. Even if he was doing this for another team, I would have the exact same opinion, and I would be rooting for the kid. Anderson Silva, he's done. I just put it that way. I think he's done being a high profile. I mean, he'll always be a high profile fighter, but as far as him gaining another championship, I don't see it happening. The age has caught up to him, and he spent a long time being a dominant force. But they won't give him his props, because I think UFC doesn't give a fuck about some fighters, because we haven't seen Amanda Nunes in commercials or them pumping her up and things of that nature. Other than when she's about to fight, do you see that? But some fighters, they have hyped the whole year, and I don't think that's right for them to be hyping those people like that. Because Ronda Rousey was good, but she ain't Amanda Nunes. So, and she got duffed out by Amanda Nunes. So, y'all were calling her the greatest woman's mixed martial artist of all time. And for her to get her ass whooped like that in her prime, and for the person who whooped her ass not to get the proper shine, I think it's some fuck shit. In boxing, Gervonta Davis had a fight, and it was a snore fest, first round knockout. The guy's, like I said, he's talented, but I haven't seen him really fight too many people. In other boxing news, the boy Marcus El Chino Maidana is coming back. I hope he don't have a fight coming up soon, because he's a fat fucker now. So it's definitely going to take a little bit of time for him to shed some poundage and, get himself back into shape so he can be a real functional fighter. But I always been a fan of his. He always has exciting fights, always goes in, and I hope that he can come back and continue that reign. And I hope he's not fighting that long and needs the money, get fucked up and end up with some type of fucked up shit, rattling his brain because he wanted to come back and get that bag, man. I mean, money's important because you have to, if you want things, you have to have some money, but don't risk your health for it. Okay, in other news, we're going to switch off from the sports. The Grammys were Sunday, and I'll put it this way. As far as the Grammys go, I'll usually watch I'll look and see who won, but I don't have that big of opinion on who won. I have people that I personally think should get the stuff, but sometimes those people don't even get nominated, but I don't, harbor on that too much. And I just look and see who won, who got nominated, check out some of the performances because sometimes they are good as shit. And to discover music I haven't, seen, discover music I haven't heard, to get to the artist. If this artist was good enough to just be mentioned for this, it must be a pretty decent album or album I just want to, just to listen to and get into. And the future of the Grammys, I don't think it'll always be on, but they're going to have to find all different types of ways to get people back in it, because I know the ratings have slipped. And the only reason I watched it is because I was over one of the homies' cribs, and he was watching it, and we stopped after maybe watching it for about 30 to 40 minutes, and he went to go watch something else. I think he went to play Dragon Ball Z or some shit, but we didn't watch the whole thing. So I don't see the Grammys. They don't hold that much weight anyway, like Drake's speech did. But the weird thing about Drake's speech, and he was spitting real. Why even go? If you don't care about this award and you said this award don't mean nothing, why are you even there? Because you could have got the same impact and effect from the same speech if you would have did it on like Facebook Live or any other social media platform that he uses. It all would have the same effect coming from him. So, shout out to him. I respect him for what he said, and he's right. The Grammys don't really hold that much weight. It used to be something of a pinnacle, because it just used to be the best of the best getting nominated and awarded. And I'm just talking about other categories. They've already made themselves clear that they don't give a fuck about hip hop. So I don't even try to dwell on that one too much, because I already know what it is when it comes to hip hop and the Grammys. They've been slacking. And apparently the black viewership has went down because they had Alicia Keys hosting, and she did a pretty decent job for the little bit I watched. So I can't knock her for it. She did a good job, but we know what it is. Trying to take away from the Grammy so white, I guess, but it's getting ready to die soon as far as being that popular. They'll force it down our throats. But like I said, I just watch it just to see who won. Oh, okay, they won. And okay, this album got nominated. Oh, let me check that out. That's all it's for. Just information purposes. That's all. Continuing on the music thing, I dive deep into the rap, some of my favorite rap albums, producers, artists, songs, and things of that nature. So it's only right that I give R&B some love. So right now, I will be giving you some of my opinions on in my R&B thing. I like listing things of that nature. So first we're going to start off with my top five R&B groups. Are my top five favorite R&B groups. We got Boyz II Men. Yeah, if you're listening and you're younger, then you don't know the impact that Boyz II Men had in the 90s. From the jump, from Motown Philly all the way up to when their popularity ended, these guys were amazing. Just putting out great songs, great albums. They could all sing. I really didn't understand why they had the deep voice guy just talking on tracks. I always thought that was just a little silly. Like, just let the dude sing or something of that nature. They just wanted him to talk. I guess that was for the bras, but I just didn't get nothing from it. Okay, but Boyz II Men are legendary as far as groups go. Like, they bought that old school doo-wop group feel from the past and mixed it with some nice 90s, the current for that time flavor, and it worked out pretty good. On top of the fact, all of them could sing like a motherfucker, so props to them. Always legendary in my book and one of my favorite groups. Next, we got TLC, and I know some people say, well, they had a rapper in the group. Come on, man. I mean, you remember Left Eye Raps, but they, outside of Waterfalls, they didn't have the impact like the whole song did. I always respected them because they were different. They were a lot different than what girl groups were past and up until that time. And I always respected them for being different. Jermaine Dupri with his amazing production, along with Dallas Austin. Those guys put in some very memorable tracks. And also Organized Noise, the producers for Waterfalls. If you don't know who they are, look up the Organized Noise documentary on Netflix. Man, I already spoke on that shit, man. Get with it or get the fuck out. Next on the list, we have the Temptations. Always that classic feel. Grew up listening to him. I always thought David Ruffin had one of the best lead vocal voices ever. I think he was just that sauce as the front man, even with them big ass glasses. But they also had the flavor with Eddie Kendricks coming in with the soprano falsetto, getting them in, getting the ladies smooth and things of that nature. And they always just had good songs. And even when they changed the lineup and had Dennis Edwards leading, when they were doing Cloud 9 and Papa was a Rolling Stone, it was, they was just sauce, man. Hitting you with the moves, dapper with the suits, always hitting you with the smooth vocals going in. Always respected them, and it was kind of like a blueprint of how good a group can be. Next we have New Edition. Hey, there has not been a point in my life where they find a way for me to make me listen to them. And I didn't have a choice as a kid because my sister loved the New Edition. She would play the shit out of Popcorn Love. She used to post up the album cover on her dresser. So, if you come in her room, that's the first thing you saw in my sister's room was the Popcorn Love album. And they were just always apart, even when they split up BBD, Ralph Tresvant, and Bobby Brown, even as separate entities and even as a group, they was just sauce. Great albums, great lead vocals from Tresvant and Johnny Gill when they got a chance to get in and do their thing. Great dance moves. Like, for those of you who don't know and don't realize it, for you to bring your ass on the stage to sing and dance, that's talent. That's just that's physical talent and that's mental talent. That's shit. That just takes a lot to do that shit, and for them to do it and be so good at it, it was crazy. And then the movie even had me respecting BET for a year, because I've been talking shit about BET for years, and that's one of my favorite Boondocks episodes when they was talking shit about BET because it had gotten that fucking bad. So for them to come out with that movie and tell the story about shit I didn't even know, they shout out the New Edition, and they just saw us. And last but not least, we got Jodeci. Jodeci was just a wonderful mixture of great singing between Casey and JoJo and great writing and production from Dalvin and Devontae. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Dalvin wrote and produced some songs too. It wasn't all Devontae, even though Devontae Swing is a genius. They both did it. They both put in some work, and it was just great. It was great to see a R&B group that didn't come out there with the Boy Next Door look, and they weren't using, they had a nice mixture between R&B beats and a couple of rap beats they would get on. And I got some more shit to say about Jodeci further on in this pod, so I'm gonna just shout them out now because they got more love coming later. As far as solo female artists go, I got Shaka Khan. Always loved Shaka Khan, and my dad was a big Shaka Khan fan. But even if he wasn't, as big as a fan as he was, she would still be sauce. Even back when she was with Rufus featuring Do You Love What You Feel, Tell Me Something Good, all that stuff. Man, she always been sauce vocally. She was a fucking fox back then. I know I just used some old ass slang to talk about an old ass time, but fuck it, it fit. But Shaka Khan has always been sauce. Ain't Nobody, just I just love to hear her sing. Even nowadays, I like to see when she make guest appearances on stuff. That was like kind of like the reason I watch the performances on the Grammys, because sometimes they bring out the old school, and some acts they never get old. They just get, they just as good as from the beginning, and she was one of those artists. Next we got Lauryn Hill, the supremely talented Lauryn Hill, because she was good in Sister Act. I ain't even know what the fuck she was, and as Rita, she put in that work and did her thing. So she always good writing. Like the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was just one of the best albums I have heard in my lifetime, and she killed it. She was good as a rapper. She wrote on rhymes, and she was great as a singer. She was just immensely talented, and I'm not gonna say I'm looking forward, but I try to check out for her whenever she's doing like a live performance. I'll check it out on YouTube or something like that, and whatever she's going through, I just hope the best for her. I wish the best for her, and wishing that she could get over whatever demon she got going on. But just a little bit of music that she did leave still is etched in my brain, and I still enjoy it to this day. Next, we got Erykah Badu. I ain't even just talking about that ass. I'm talking about her as her as an artist. Like, she took the neo soul thing. I kind of think that her style of music and how she was as an artist probably gave them the name for that genre. I don't really like to call it neo soul. I'll just use it to better clarify some things. But just her being unique and using her voice in those different styles, and just her being that different always stood out. Videos was good, even outside of seeing that ass in window seat. That's that. But she always had good videos, good music. It was always a message, something that you can catch from it, and I always respected her for it, and will continue to listen to her from here on out. Next we got Sade. When you talking about a butter soft voice, god damn, and she hasn't aged that fucking all. God damn. Yeah, black don't crack like a motherfucker. Shit, go on ahead, Sade. But everything every time she sings, it's just melting, because just my ears are just melting because of her fucking sultry ass voice. Sade just put in that work. She has great work. She just she has her own flavor and her own style, and it's so unique that I haven't really seen anybody try to duplicate it, or try to use it as a building block for what they're going to be as an artist, because it's hard. It's hard to sing that well, and it's hard to have that vibe. It's hard for you to take a vibe from somebody, especially somebody has that one that's established and people just enjoy it so much. Shout out to Sade, man. You saw us. And last on the female solo list, we got Patti LaBelle. Shout out to Patti LaBelle. I want some patty pie and some macaroni and cheese right now, because I heard she can cook her ass off. But outside of burning in the kitchen, she will set fire to that microphone when she get the damn singing, boy. It was always cool, because she was always the diva that stood out with like the big ass hair and the crazy ass outfits. She had shit that you would see like in wrestling. She would have on stage and shit like that. And Patty was just sauce. On top of that, you got the motherly feel from her, and just the way she would sing. You knew she was just vocally talented and just vocally different from what you were used to or what you heard coming up. And she was just sauce, like from the LaBelles all the way to her solo career. I mean, she just was just like that. And if you give her that microphone, she's going to stand out and be somebody that put the stamp on it that you're never going to forget about. Going into male artists, first you got D'Angelo. Like I said, I'll just use neo soul as just a guideline. He was neo soul to me, pretty much. Just different from your average R&B. His voice was different. The type of production he would use, his look was different. It was just what you weren't expecting from an R&B dude, but he was like an extraordinary singer, great musician, great writer, and he was just sauce. And if you think I got some shit to say about Jodeci, I got some shit to say about D'Angelo later on. Next, we got Barry White. Barry White was, even outside the deep voice and the sauciness and how that shit, how he was, putting the bitches to bed with the deep voice. His production was just crazy with the Love Unlimited Orchestra. Oh, man. And his writing was crazy. And just to see a 300-pound motherfucker with a perm and still put in, still be able to get the bitches, that's always impressive. Because there weren't too many niggas rocking perms back then. That when the 70s that popped up. Because everybody was about that natural, that afro. But for him to keep that and just put out those saucy songs, man, shout out to the dude. Next, we got Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke just got one of the best voices, period. I don't give a fuck what it is, but I don't give a fuck what genre it is. R&B, soul, blues, rock, pop, anything. When it comes to singing, he got that shit shut down. And he was a pioneer as far as, actually owning your own label. He didn't have anybody over top of him. Because, like Jay-Z got Rock Nation, but that's owned by Live Nation. Diddy got Bad Boy, but that's owned by Sonny. Sam Cooke's label was his. He owned the plant that printed the records and all that shit. That was his label. And he was ahead of the game as far as people owning their masters and for you selling your songs. Like selling your songs to another artist that may be bigger than you, because they know if you have the rights and the masters to that song, you're going to get paid just as much as the next artist that uses your song will be. He was ahead of the curve, man. And just pure sauce. Next, I got Babyface. Maybe not as talented vocally as the others on this list, but when it comes to putting together a song and writing, he was fucking crazy. Like, my dad was a big Babyface fan, so I got to, listen firsthand to just, the mastery of his writing and arrangement. And, like, I'm not saying his voice was ass just because it wasn't as good as everybody else's up here, but he still was vocally talented enough to make it work. And shout out to him. Like, the Tony Braxton hits and a lot of the shit that was written on the Boomerang soundtrack. And I was going to put the Boomerang soundtrack in my top 5, but it's got a lot of rap songs up there. Like, it's a good mixture between the rap songs and stuff, He wrote most of the stuff for the Boomerang soundtrack, for Tony Braxton, Boyz II Men, a lot. Babyface putting that work writing-wise, and I respect him for it. The songs was good. Even his solo stuff was good, and shout out to the dude. And next I have Miguel. Miguel is another one of those artists who always stood out to me from day one. I've enjoyed his music. All I Want Is You was a good first album. I enjoyed it. But when he came down with Art Dealer Chic volumes, it led into Kaleidoscope Dream. Fucking sauce. And and with that sauce, he has continued to even, grow as an artist and try out different songs, and they help him work for him. Okay? Now, when it comes to the list, two people that were omitted that somebody may speak on, and you may be wondering, I didn't put Mike up there because Mike had a lot of pop, and when I do like all around voices and shit of that nature, I'll give adult Mike his turn. But as a kid, as the Jackson 5, he was sauce, and they almost made the group list, but it was only two people in the group that was really doing, they was doing most of the singing, him and Jermaine. And Jermaine was always, I thought, slept on in the Jackson 5 because he was playing the instrument and singing. So, but he had more of a pop feel for Adult Mike. Even though he did have some R&B songs, I discussed it with the homies and asked, was Off the Wall an R&B song? Because he didn't, and they was like, nah, it was, and I agree with him upon further review. That because I was gonna have Off the Wall as one of my top 5 albums, but I think they are right that it had more of a pop disco feel to it. And I know disco is black music for those who didn't know, but it was more of a poppy feel than R&B feel. And when I go to top 10 overall albums, we gonna be getting the mic. And Prince was just genre bending, and none of his albums really had just a one feel throughout the whole album. So that's why I didn't have any of his albums, I'll put them in the top 5 because they'll be on other lists. And some of the albums were, put in, were multi-genre. Okay. When it comes to just great voices, I got props for them all. Mariah did her thing. Anita Baker almost made the top 5 woman list. I think it was because when Sade put out Soldier of Love, that kind of gave her the nod over Anita because it was something current, something, that she put out more recently, because I can't remember the last thing Anita put out, but I'm going to check for it anyway, just so I can go back to it. But Sade put out the last thing between the two, and it was still good, so she got the nod. And it's just all types of like great voices. Beyonce can sing her ass off. Alicia Keys, Rihanna can sing her ass off. SZA, her, Georgia Smith, Ella Mai, like Raven Lenae. Like there's just so many like saucy voices in the woman's side. And the same thing with the dudes. No offense to Jacquees, but he can't sing better than Luther, Marvin, Sam Cooke. He ain't got shit on R. Kelly, Teddy P, Stevie Wonder, Curtis Mayfield, Ray Charles. Like, come on, man. How the hell you gonna say you the king of R&B? R&B is, it really ain't, it's really not in the forefront like it used to be. Like, if it's a hit rap song out, it would be a hit R&B song out. And a lot of people have let other artists slide in that R&B field, with the Adeles and the Sam Smiths and things like that. Y'all have let other people slide in and take that role. Bruno Mars. Because Bruno Mars, he changes genres with every album, so we never know. He came up with a real R&B heavy album, and a lot of people called him a culture vulture. I didn't agree with it. None of you other motherfuckers are showing love to their past like that, so props to him. But, as far as, like, voices go, man, I'm sorry, the old school got the shit. And, of course, there's people that can sing nowadays, but that's, it's different. And I dare you to just go back and listen to the stuff. And don't listen with the ear of trying to compare or make it better. Just take the time, listen to the production. Don't even pay attention to the voice. I don't know if people can do that. That's just something I do. But if you can, just find the instrumental to the song and listen to that. Then listen to the whole song with the lyrics laced on it. And just listen to how they can sing so effortlessly. Like, if you don't think Marvin Gaye can out-sing motherfuckers from nowadays, you just crazy. Just go back and look at that NBA All-Star game where he sang the national anthem. Enough said. And next we're going to get into my top 5 R&B albums. Number 1, we're going to go with Marvin Gaye. Midnight Love. Now, what's going on? The Trouble Man soundtrack. Damn, I forgot the other one. Between, Love and Hate, where the angel was playing chess with the demon, and then they got the one Here My Dear that he made for his wife just so she could get paid for the shit, his ex-wife. Marvin got a lot of good albums, but the one thing I like about Midnight Love so much is that it was a feel-good album. You could tell that he was in a good mood and in a good space. And most people usually go to sexual healing when it comes to this album or Marvin Gaye period, but he had some saucy fucking songs up there, like Midnight Lady, the opening track. That shit was crazy. I kind of wish I could play some of this shit for you without getting struck by YouTube or getting a copyright strike or getting my channel deleted and shit like that. And I know I created another one, but it would be difficult for me to put all this damn music up here, get the shit scrapped, and then just do it again. But just trust me. Take what I'm saying and, listen for yourself. Some of my favorite tracks up there are Midnight Lady, talking about girls going out that night and him trying to get with them and things of that nature. It worked. Rocking After Midnight, after you met your Midnight Lady, y'all rocking after midnight. You get the innuendo, we there. Third World Girl. just the production on it alone, because they just play an instrumental of the song for a couple of minutes first before he starts singing. But just the production is already fucking saucy as shit. And then he add his lyrics in there. Matter of fact, he has saucy ass ad-libs on this shit. That was crazy, man. And yo, man, this album is just fucking sauce. It's a feel-good album. It's more up-tempo throughout the whole album than some of his other works. But that right there, I just, you just feel like bopping. You can't listen to this album or songs on this album without moving. So that's one of the things I loved about it. And turn on some music. Talking about setting up some music because he about to get it in with the jump. And he just telling you how he gonna set up the album, how he gonna set up the record player to set the mood, because he about to get it in. And this shit's saucy. And this will make you wanna, hey, it's a moving album. That's just what that is. Next we got Glenn Lewis, Word Outside My Window. This guy, Glenn Lewis, he's just vocally talented on the level of a Stevie Wonder. If you hear him sing a Stevie Wonder song, because he got some Stevie Wonder covers on YouTube, you'll just see that the dude voice is amazing. And even though most of the tracks had the basic late 90s, early 2000s feel to it, they still stood. They meshed well with his vocals, and it turned into great songs. Because I didn't know who he was beforehand, because this was like before the net was popping. I mean, the internet was alive and well, and I was using it, but it wasn't no way that I could discover who Glenn Lewis was at that time through the internet. Because I didn't know until he came out with Don't You Forget It, which is, one of my favorite songs on the album. Till that came out, till I was like, I got to get this shit. I know the rest of the album gonna be good. And I have failed at that shit before. Time and time I've went out, before I start getting stuff online, listening to one song and just getting duped, or just looking at a cover and just getting stuff like that. I'm probably about 50-50 on that shit of, among genres of music, where I just looked at an album cover and I said, oh, this shit look all right. I'm going to cop this. Don't even know who the fuck it is, but I'm going to just, jump out the window and do this shit. But just listening to the single, which is how they used to get people back in the day with, trying to get the people to buy albums. If the single was popping, they figured that somebody would get it. And his was, because I think he at least went gold, which was an accomplishment back in the day. That means 500,000 people went out there and bought your album. And I was one of them. And on top of Don't You Forget It, Beautiful Eyes, Take Me, it's just a great mesh of songs dealing in the relationship realm, things in that nature, and him just living his life. And it was just, I probably would have arranged it differently as far as the tracks go, but they still flowed well, and it was still a great fucking album. It made this list. Next on the list, we have Superfly by Curtis Mayfield, the soundtrack to the movie. And I'm talking about the real 1970 blaxploitation Superfly, because this last one was complete and utter buns. The soundtrack was okay, but it ain't fucking with this. Because Curtis Mayfield, who wrote and composed this whole damn album, I mean, I know it ain't number 8 tracks, but for you to do that shit, period, is fucking impressive. You wrote all the songs, and you were pretty much instrumental in directing everybody on what to play, how to play, and, how you wanted it played. And that's just crazy that one person did that. And this album is fucking real. Like Little Child Running Wild, just talking about a ghetto kid who don't have supervision, and he just, the shit that he could get into. And then you have No Thing on Me, telling people, letting people know I don't need that cocaine. I'm good on that. I can chill on that, Superfly, the title track, Freddie's Dead, Give Me Your Love, which is my favorite song on the track. It was just sauce, man. And I don't know if he put, he had to watch the movie first, because everything with the song, as far as the titles, the music, the lyrics, all of it meshed well with scenes in the movie. And it's just a great marriage between film and music, and he just put something fucking great together. The next album I have is Jodeci. What's this shit called? The Show, The After Party, The Hotel. Now this is pretty much what I think is the perfect interpretation of Jodeci. Great writing, great production, on top of great vocals. Now that's a recipe for any great album, but for this one, it shows that this is just a different type of feel when this album was just put together and how it was laid out. Because some of my favorite songs up there. Freaking You, I'm a nasty motherfucker. So a song like this, even hearing it at like what I was like 10 or 11, maybe a little older, maybe 12. I go 12 the highest, 9 the lowest. It's just a great song. And even if you're not a freak, you can still enjoy these vocals because they killed the shit like that. Love You for Life, one of the most beautiful love songs I've ever heard in my life. And it was, I mean, even if you don't, even with just the lyrics and their vocals, it's just enough. The production could have just been shit. And it was still good. And it was just a great song talking about how a dude just wanted to be with his chick forever. It was a ghetto version of Girl, I Love You, Let's Get Married type shit. This shit was, it's not as corny as I think Let's Get Married by Jagged Edge had a little corn factor. But I don't see, this didn't have that corn factor at all to it. And I love that song. And Falling, that was just a great display of Casey and JoJo's vocals. And it just worked out well. It was one of those songs. I know y'all have listened to songs or heard songs where it's just like a minute or 30 seconds. And you'd be like, God damn, y'all couldn't make no whole song out of this shit. This track is just that great that it left me wanting more. And I think that's the sign that you should have just left it like that. Because you want people to feel you should have gave me more. And you don't even give them the shit. You enjoy what the fuck you got because you don't have no other choice. And I don't. And I just listen to it, and God damn it, I love it. Just love this album. And it just showed the genius of Devontae Swing and the fucking top-notch vocals of Casey and JoJo. And Dalvin putting in his work, too. And last but not least, on the album side of the game, and just to speak on Jodeci right quick, you know, I bigged them up. That's my favorite R&B group of all time for the reasons I spoke to earlier. It's not a day that can go by where I don't listen to one of their songs. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to remember either early in the morning or late at night before I go to sleep. I'm going to play me a damn Jodeci song. And now my last album is D'Angelo's Voodoo. God damn it. If this shit is not sonically, vocally, just a fucking masterpiece to me, God damn it. From the Spanish joint, Chicken Grease, Send It On, and this what makes it my favorite album. I don't have a favorite song on this motherfucker. You know why? Because I love every goddamn song on this goddamn album. This is in my opinion, the best R&B album ever created. It changed the genre and it introduced people to shit that you could do differently in R&B, and it's some shit that just can't be duplicated. It couldn't be fucked with. Now you can get the same vibe from it because Bilal's Firstborn Second and Erykah Badu's, not Baduism, but I think it was Mama's Gun. Whatever Didn't You Know was on, those have that vibe because they were all made in the Electric Lady Studios, and Jay Dilla and James Poyser and Questlove. They all had a hand in making those 3 albums, so it gives you the feel like you get the same vibe, but it ain't Voodoo. Voodoo is just that shit. Okay? Lyrically, he was coming from left field, but still being able for you to relate to it. And musically, it was just fucking sauce, man. Like, because I've watched interviews between Questlove and D'Angelo, and they listen to a lot of Prince, Sly Stone, and I want to say James Brown as, you know, the guides for this Voodoo album. Because D'Angelo's first album, Brown Sugar, is good too, but that was more classic R&B. For real. And I think he wanted to go totally different on it, and he went totally different, and it fucking worked. I can't dive into it unless you fucking know the songs. You know, this is more of an album I like to have a conversation with somebody that's here, and somebody I could just comb through and go through track to track with you. But for me, greatest R&B album for me, D'Angelo's Voodoo. Just fucking perfection. And since we in a later time, not every album, not everything get released is an album. So I want to shout out some of the hot R&B mixtape, the saucy ones that I've heard. CeeLo Green and Greg Street, Straight Bullets. This is the CeeLo Green. He gives you R&B throughout the whole album. He's singing throughout the whole album, but what he also does is, in the normal CeeLo fashion, he gives you some songs that may seem different. If you sometimes like Strangers, it has the feeling of an old 1960s R&B song that our 1950s Nat King Cole jump, but it's still sauce. Great fucking mixtape. Frank Ocean Nostalgia. I tried to say Frank Ocean and Nostalgia all at the same time and fucked all that up. But Frank Ocean's Nostalgia Ultra was a great album. I got introduced by Novocaine, and I just went from there. Like, I loved the little interludes with the little PlayStation. I love the video game interludes because I was, big on video games, and it was just a great album. Now, Frank doesn't have the best voice, but he knows how to use his shit to vibe with that music and then, turn it into something that's nice. Something that's real current, Crushed by Raven Lenae. Man, this was recent. I want to say it was like late 2016. I want to say it came out 2017. Early 2017, but her and Steve Lacy from the internet put together a great album. She shows off her vocal talent. It works well with the production, and she shows to be somebody in the future that I will definitely be keeping an eye out for. Now, I ain't gonna tell you this bitch getting ready to take over the game, because I don't know that shit. You never know, because the next shit I'm going to, I thought this dude was gonna really blow up, and it never transpired into anything. The next we have BJ, the Chicago kid with Pineapple Annihilators. I don't know if this shit was an album or not, but just from the simple fact that I pulled this shit up out of nowhere, just pulled the album up and downloaded it, I'ma just consider it a mixtape. And if you don't think it is a mixtape, or if it's not, just put this shit as an honorable mention in the album section. The Pineapple Annihilators was just great. Just a great dude singing, just telling you about relationships and love, and it was just a great marriage between all of it. And dude's sauce, and I've always kept tabs on him. But I always go back to this album because I is my favorite track up there. He showed with that high soprano falsetto, and then he brought you back down with some tender sauce. And it's just a great album to listen to. If you haven't, all these shits are suggestions. I would really suggest, if you fuck with R&B, just go ahead and take a listen. Okay? What's that shit? Party Next Door, his first EP was good. Singing wise, this dude ain't all that. He's just decent, and then it's a lot of auto-tune. But he found a way to make that shit work with the music and shit like that. He found a way to do that shit. And it was just very entertaining and something I'll definitely listen to again. Another tape by Dude, But You Can't Use My Phone was real fucking saucy. I like the way she incorporated phone usage and how people were always on their phones, and she turned that into a whole mixtape. I wish she would have made this an album just so people could have got a better feel for it, and it could have reached more people. And I don't know why an album will reach more people, but that's just just that's how I feel about it, because a lot of people don't bring this up when they're talking about her saucy projects, and I found a way through the mixtape section. It's just a good joint. And the last track, I forgot what the track is called, but it's with Andre 3000. That shit just fucking great. And last but not least on that, we got the Weeknd's Trilogy and House of Balloons, the first one. It was crazy. I remember Joseph Bullard played this shit, and he played I Got You. And usually when somebody plays a song for me that I like, I don't say shit about the song. Like, usually when somebody plays a song for me, whether I like it or not, I don't say shit to them about it. The only thing you'll probably get is it's alright. I'll give it another listen, because it's alright means that I thought it was cool. I'll give it another listen means that I want to listen to it with just me here while I'm not doing shit, so I could better focus on it. And with that one, when he played I Got You, and he told me who it was and the name of the album, that was it. I didn't say shit. I didn't give my opinion on it. I didn't say a word. I just went home, downloaded that shit instantly, and rocked out with that motherfucker, because that shit was amazing. This dude has an extraordinary voice, And a lot of people say, well, he be out there copying Michael Jackson. Who better to copy than the great? All right? He don't sound, it's just, it comes off like it's Mike-ish, but to me, he doesn't sound like Mike. He has his own unique voice. And come on, man, it's Mike, man. Nobody fucking compared to the king of pop. So for this dude to just have a decent enough voice for y'all to say, to make it comparable to Mike, means you being lazy, one. And number two, he's just that fucking talented. And I like the fact that he stepped into a realm of R&B that wasn't. Like, him and Frank Ocean and a couple of other artists stepped into that realm where, you know, it goes outside the norm. You know, it's not just about love. Sometimes it's just about fucking. Sometimes it's just about partying. Sometimes it's about party favors, mainly cocaine. Sometimes it's about getting drunk and doing some goofy ass shit. But I respect them for stepping to the realm that everybody goes through. Because not everybody's in love. You know, not everybody's getting fucked up every night. So I like to have, variety is the spice of life, and especially spicy when you're dealing with music. And that's pretty much all I got on the R&B side of the game. I knew this shit was going to be long because I filled the fuck out of this paper. I had to condense some of this shit because some of you motherfuckers don't even like to listen to me talk for 20 minutes. So I'm already at an hour right now. So fucking up the church's money. But fuck it, it's my opinion, and it's some shit that I love and I want to get out there. And in the future, I'm going to go through rock. I don't think my rock list will be that extensive because I've listened to rock and roll, but I haven't dived as deep. Usually what I'll do is, like, outside of what I listen to coming up, I will look for lists, download the shit, you know, look for a list like Rolling Stones top 500 albums, top 500 songs, and things like that. And then I'll just research it from there. Like, case in point with what's the name of that group? The Clash. Only thing I knew about The Clash coming up was Rock the Casbah, which is still my shit. But once I saw them, they had fucking, I want to say it was a top 10, a top 20 album on the Rolling Stone top 500 list, London Calling. I went right into it, and I went through their whole catalog, and they became one of my favorite rock bands of all time. And London Calling is one of my favorite videos because the way they started the beginning, when they had their back turned to the mic and they was rocking the fuck out, and then when they turned around and started doing the song, that shit was sauce, man. That, I love Tommy Gun from them, and that's just how I do. Like, even if it wasn't something I come up with, I'll look for it. Because I don't look for lists to be the Bible, but I'll look for a list to say, we thought this was hot. Well, let me take a listen and see if I have the same opinion myself. And I'm not disappointed when it's not, you know, that saucy, you know. But I am, you know, grateful that I did get a listen. Okay? But that's it for What the Fuck is a reborG podcast. This might be the one and only episode where Boy don't say shit. He hasn't barked at a goddamn thing this whole hour. That's crazy. Maybe I'll stretch this next one out to an hour and 15 so he can just be fucking done. Just, I'm fucking shocked. I want to wake this nigga up just so he can say something, just get y'all something to say on the mic. But fuck it. He done. He sleep like shit. That's it for me. Catch y'all next time. Be easy and be you. I'm out.